Hello, this is the Retro Bear, and as you may have gathered from the thumbnail, this is not gaming related at all. But don't worry about that, because I'm actually going to do something I said I was going to do at the start of the year. And it's another passion of mine. You may have noticed that you might have seen the DVD collection. And occasionally I slip into talking about films and things like that. So I did actually do something this year that I was going to do. I was going to sit down and try and watch more films. And this is not necessarily new films. This is not necessarily old films. It's going to be a mixture of everything. And if you see my DVD collection videos, you know my tastes go dramatically from one to the other. So this is going to be a mixture of sort of recent films, films I've got in my collection, films I've taped, recorded from television, things that I wanted to see but never actually have got around to doing so. And I'm just going to drop a few of these in every, however it is. This period is going to sort of cover from the start of the year until last night, which was Saturday. It's not going to be a massive amount of films. I mean, you know, I've barely got time to game as it is, so I really haven't got the time to sit down and watch large amounts of films. But it's something that me and Mrs. Bear do quite a bit. You know, we do sit down and watch a film together. Now, because my Saturday nights are a bit more freer, and my Sunday nights are now freer, because that's finished, I can now sort of amuse myself for a few hours on a Saturday night while she's watching something on a laptop. So expect a few of these to drop in, and I might get through a fair bit this year. I'm not setting myself any daft targets or anything like that. Just wanted to watch stuff which interests me, or things that I've enjoyed over the years, and I go back, or things I've always perhaps wanted to do but never actually got around to watching, and share those with you. You may not agree with it, and this isn't going to be some sort of heavy critique or whatever. I'm just going to give you my thoughts and opinions. You may watch and not agree, which is fine. You're entitled to your opinion as much as I'm entitled to mine. You know, I'm no review specialist, but I know if something's entertained me enough, then that's what it is. So let's start as we mean to go, and let's start with some of the recent stuff we've done. And let's start off with You're Cordially Invited. Now, the idea is I'm going to try and stick the film poster in here. So I shall disappear, which you'll be very, very grateful for. And it'll just be, shot the film poster and you can see for yourself what it is and make a note of it. You're Cordially Invited, which I believe is an Amazon Prime sort of... Do we use the word straight to Amazon Prime now, as in we used to straight to video, straight to DVD? I know it's not always the case, because some of these things end up being put onto streaming services but also put out in the cinema, and in order to do that, that qualifies for award season and things like that, which we're very much coming to the end to at the moment. Not that You're Cordially Invited is going to win any awards for anything, but yeah, I always think if you go straight onto Amazon Prime and Netflix and Apple, it's not good enough to go in the cinema, the same way as straight to video used to be. So You're Cordially Invited stars Will Ferrell and Reese Witherspoon. Will Ferrell's playing a widow with a daughter who's getting married. Reese Witherspoon plays the sister, a member of a family. Her sister's getting married. Her two other brother and sister are already married elsewhere. And yeah, it's the best thing to describe this film as, it's meant to be a comedy, is it was a thing. You know, if there was ever a film which was, 2.5 out of 5 or 5 out of 10 or 50%, this is it. It is right in the middle of average. There's nothing special about this at all. You've seen it 100 times elsewhere. There's a couple of funny moments, but yeah, I couldn't recommend this to anybody at all. I really couldn't. If you like romantic comedies, it's your thing, but yeah, there's nothing going about it. It's not funny enough. It's not smolchy enough. He just doesn't. You come out at the end of it and say, well, yeah, that's exactly what. Well, that happened. I mean, it's mercifully short, I suppose. It's not going to offend anybody. But yeah, so if you like bang average films, this is the sort of thing for you. yeah, I can't recommend it really. So I'm not going to. No, it's absolutely average. Moving on from that, then we moved on to Deadpool versus Wolverine, which I've been waiting to watch for quite some time now. And again, this is something which, you know, big passion of mine going back with comic books and superheroes. And I think, you know, 23 years after the first Spider-Man film with Tobey Maguire in it, we're all suffering from what can be described as superhero film fatigue, because there seems to be one comes along every sort of 3 or 4 months, and it just, yeah, I don't know. When Spider-Man first came out, it was so exciting because they finally were able to put something like that on the big screen with all the CGI and, you know, we had to really do it justice, and it was great. I love those, you know, those original films. And then the Avengers film came out, and it's like, wow, it's great, Captain America. And over time, it's just eroded it away to the point that you get another MCU universe film come along. We've got another Captain America film coming up, which I don't think I'm particularly looking forward to watching. And this, you know, the first two Deadpool films, I like the first one, wasn't so keen on the second one. Wolverine has been part of the X-Men films, which again, the original trilogy were very, very good. He carried that over into the update, the newer X-Men films. A couple of Wolverine spin-offs, about 3 altogether. There's the Wolverine, there was X-Men, which was very good. If you collect Blu Ray 3Ds, actually, that was one of the cheapest ones you got at one point. Like, you couldn't believe how cheap it was. Very good film as well. Then you got X-Men Origins, which I wasn't so keen on, and then you got Logan, which was a very good way to finish the character off. He said, "That's it, no more," and I dragged him back for this last one. The film spends pretty much the entire time nodding and winking to the fourth wall and breaking that and dragging up, you know, the copyright issues, the contracts obligation, because obviously when the X-Men rights were sold originally, they went to Fox, and you know, Spider-Man was at Sony, and there's been all, you know, Spider-Man, they have to grant special permission to use Spider-Man in the MCU universe films, and oh yeah, and that's why the X-Men haven't been in any of the MCU universe films, because, yeah, anyway, it's an absolute, you know, constantly breaking through, constant digs and knocks at 20th Century Fox around the rights to Wolverine. It's just too much. It's just too much. I mean, we know Deadpool, the character's a bit of a maverick and a bit of a, you know, a wisecracker, but yeah, I don't know. Again, it's good, but it's not great. It's got a good balance of, obviously, there's a good balance of humour in it. There's a lot of violence in it as well. Very violent film. Yeah, it's okay. It's okay. It didn't sort of reinvigorate my interest in comic book films, to be honest with you, and I'm so far out of that now. I can't remember when I lost interest. I think it was about the time Civil War came out. Avengers Civil War, Captain America Civil War, I think it was an Avengers film. It wasn't an Avengers film. Even that's confusing. And even to go through the timeline and try and work out where all these films fit in. No, I'm not interested in doing that. So yeah, Deadpool versus Wolverine. Yeah, it's all right. It's all right. And then the other one which we watched was Time Stalker. Now you probably have never heard of this one. This is what I enjoy, and this is what I'm going to hopefully try and project in doing these videos. Is try and find films that you perhaps never heard of before. And this Time Stalker, I think, was written, directed, and starring Alice Lowe. Nick Frost is also in there as well. Tanya Reynolds, some of you may know, she was in something on Netflix last year called The Decameron, about the plague sweeping across Italy. It's a comedy. And, yeah, don't get too depressed. It's a comedy, which I'm trying to work my way through at the moment. About 3 episodes in at the moment. And the basic premise of this is the main character, female character, crops up throughout history. So she ends up marrying the wrong man, falling in love with the wrong man, and inevitably ends up being killed at some point during this. And she cropped about 4 different periods of time, and it ends up in the 80s. It's very good. It honestly, it's very good. It is funny. It is quite poignant as well. Some quite sad moments in there as well. She's trying to break the cycle of this. She always ends up marrying the wrong person and ends up falling for the other person who turns out to be not quite right for her. Yeah, you know, if you get a chance to check it out, do Time Stalk. You may it's not a big film release. It's, well, you know, it's going to be sort of, not say it's arty farty type film, but it's a lot off the beaten track, and I like finding things like that, because occasionally you do come across really good ones. One I didn't watch all the way through, so I'm not going to include it here. It was a film called Spontaneous, which I caught Mrs. Bear watching, and that was about teenagers who were spontaneously combusting. Again, sounds ridiculous, but actually it was a pretty good film. Yeah, that was really quite good. I probably wish I'd watched that all the way through, but I only came in halfway through, so I'm trying to pick up anything to watch. So yeah, if you get a chance to watch Time Stalker, it may pop up on something like Film 4 or one of those obscure subscription movie channels. I don't know, but yeah, I thought it was really good. It was a good little film. Again, these are the ones that surprise you. You get more probably enjoyment out of these than you would do out of a big budget, big blockbuster release or whatever, starring Tom Cruise and what have you. Sometimes these films are the ones you find by complete chance and are really good. So yeah, get a chance to check it out, please do. Up next from that, then, there's two films that have recently hit the cinema in the last month or so. One is called Saturday Night. This is, I suppose, a dramatisation of what should have been the run-up to the very first episode of Saturday Night Live, or it was called Saturday Night back then, which is just celebrating its 50th anniversary in America. Long-running Saturday night topical comedy show, launched the careers of a number of people, including the likes of Chevy Chase, Dan Aykroyd, John Belushi, Gilda Radner, Jane Curtin, Billy Crystal, etc., etc. And that was the initial run. Then basically every single major comedy star that's come out of the United States since then: Eddie Murphy, Will Ferrell, we mentioned him earlier, Adam Sandler, Andy Samberg, loads of people like that, just gone all the way to Tina Fey, etc., all the way come through the Saturday Night Live process and gone off on their own careers. It's interesting. I mean, I don't know an awful lot about the show. I've never actually seen much of it, if anything, at all. So I don't really know whether this is true. It's one of these, they put the start up, you know, the following events are, you know, potentially could have happened, but they may not have done, and this isn't word for word type. But anyway, hope you enjoy it. Not making it as I go along, but based hopefully on sort of a true story, which is always something that interests me straight away. If it's based on something that happened, I'm interested. You know, less interested in something that somebody's just written, and if I'm getting invested in the characters and storyline, I sort of check out. Whereas it's something that's based on a true story or true events, I'm more interested. You'll see that in a second with the next film I'm going to talk about. So that was quite good. The actors playing the on-screen comedians are very good. I feel they got their characterisations quite down. That, you know, sometimes you think, does it have to be an impersonation of somebody that have to look like them or sound like them? It helps, but it doesn't necessarily mean to be the case. J.K. Simmons, most of you will remember, mentioned Spider-Man earlier, played J. Jonah Jameson in the Spider-Man films. He crops up playing Milton Berle, an old-time American vaudeville comedian. He's always good value for money. J.K. Simmons, one of my favourite actors, and again, he's not on screen very long, but he's very, very good in this. It's got some pretty not very nice reviews, quite a few negative reviews about this film. I thought it was pretty good. I enjoyed it all the way through. Did I learn anything from it? I don't think so. But then I wasn't expecting to come out and be fully educated about it, about the series. That wasn't what it was intending to do. It was just trying to describe the chaos of getting a TV show on the air back then. And what you've got to remember as well, and the actor playing Lorne Michaels, for example, he said this line about, this is the first television show made for people who grew up watching, made for and by people who grew up watching television when it first started. Because the first stars of television were people who were on radio or in film or in stage, vaudeville, this in America particularly. And it would be the same over here as well. So the generation that grew up watching those programmes were now making the shows and starring in them. And that's quite a poignant line, really. But it is good. I enjoyed it. If that's, that's your sort of thing, well worth checking out. If it's not, then obviously it won't. And the final film, which came out recently, which I'm going to talk about, is September 5 or September 5th, which is again a dramatisation of real-time events, and this surrounds the Munich Olympic hostage crisis in 1972. comes to people falling asleep at the sound of that. It's not what you think it is. This is when terrorists, or they weren't even using the word terrorists. Very interesting bit in the film about how they were going to describe the people who were hostage taking. Were they terrorists? And getting the right phrasing, because back then that word really wasn't being used. So it's at the Olympics in 1972, and it focuses on the ABC American sports production team who were there covering the Olympics when this major news story breaks. And there's a great sort of what's the best way to describe it? Conflict between the network and the production team there. They're saying, well, this is really a news matter, we need the news team. And I said, well, no, we're here doing the story, we want to cover it. So people who are very au fait at producing sports programmes are now focusing on producing live television of a major breaking news story. And of course, this was the very first Olympics, I think 72, which had been broadcast around the world. So yeah, it's based on true events, which again is really good. Great cast. Unfortunately, I've not made any notes to say who they are, but I didn't know Ben Chaplin is in it. Ben Chaplin was, most people may remember him as Martin from Game On in the first series of the 90s BB2 sitcom. Went to Hollywood. I think he starred in Truth About Cats and Dogs with Uma Thurman, but his career didn't really go any further than that. He's done lots of stuff over the years, but he's in this as well. And because it's based on true story, it's great. And having myself read the biography of Howard Cosell, who was a very famous American sports commentator and journalist, and was part of the ABC team over there, I know an awful lot behind this, what happened behind the scenes. So it was quite interesting to watch that as well. But yeah, it's I think it's been nominated for Best Original Screenplay at the Oscars, which is coming up. So pretty good stuff, and yeah, definitely worth checking out if it's still around the cinemas. I think it came out a couple of weeks ago, so you may or may not find it now. But yeah, September 5, definitely worth checking out if you enjoy well-made films about actual events. So there we go. So that's those 5 there. I'm going on to stuff I've now dragged through my collection. And because I've had these Sat nights free now, I've decided, as these were on television over Christmas, rather than dig my DVDs out, I thought I'll record these and watch these again. So I watched the Naked Gun trilogy across a few days, did much more back to back. That would have been too much even for me. So yeah, Naked Gun first one, which was a film version of the old TV show Police Squad, which ran for one series back in '82. And got cancelled because it was said because of poor ratings, but I think at the time it was generally thought that it was just too clever. Written by the same people who did Airplane, so you know exactly what you're going to get. Starring Leslie Nielsen. I remember seeing the TV series. It was around the time this Naked Gun came out, because BBC Two I think reran it. And I can't. Why did they cancel this program? It's brilliant. It's fantastic. So when the film came out, it was rented it on video. It was really, really good, and it's just that sort of level. If you like Airplane, you like Police Squad, then obviously you're in the right bracket here. If that sort of humour isn't your thing, then you're going to hate this. It's like Mrs. Bear's mum. She hates Airplane. She thinks it's one of the worst films ever. What is this rubbish you're watching? Yeah, absolute classic. I always used to say I used to try and watch these films back then and find something new about them, and I found something new 35 years later ish, watching The Naked Gun again, and there was something I didn't notice, I've never noticed, but I watched it at the start of the film, and it's the same as a TV programme. You've got this like fake top of a police car with a spinning light going around as the titles go through. And what they do in the film version is they take this and put it on like a roller coaster or something, or rapids. As the films progress, the 3 films, it's all different titles each time. So they're going through something where you're expecting to follow it. So it's going through, like I said, a car wash. It goes through a bullfighting arena. So you've got matadors like pulling the cape out of the way as it goes through. And in the first film, it goes up towards a house and then goes into the house. And I noticed watching this the other week that on the right hand side, as the shot goes through, you can actually see the camera rig on the shadow. And I've never seen that before, so I became obsessed with watching this now. Where's the camera rig? Can I see the shadows of the camera rig? Yeah, I know, stupid, isn't it? But yeah, I mean, you know, it coined the immortal line, "Nice beaver, thank you, I've just had it stuffed." One of my all-time favourite lines: "Can I interest you in a nightcap?" "No, thank you, I don't wear them." It's that sort of level of humour. I mentioned A Touch of Cloth in my DVD collection 2 video. It's like that sort of level, really. All the actors, Leslie Nielsen, George Kennedy, Priscilla Presley, O.J. Simpson, and Ricardo Montalban playing the villain, who will always have a place in my heart for playing Khan in Star Trek 2. All just playing it straight. It's just really good, really good. Next one was Naked Gun 2.5. I always say it's 2.5 times funny, less funny than the first one. I've grown to appreciate it more as I've got on. When I first saw it, I thought, oh, it's not quite as good, is it? But you go back and watch it, and you know there are some very, 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 very funny things there. The bit that there stands out is Richard Griffiths, well-known British actor, playing Dr. Meinheimer, who at one point is tied up in a wheelchair alongside Leslie Nielsen, and Leslie Nielsen's trying to sort of cut the ropes on a sort of a unit. And he's sort of shaking the unit, and a variety of heavy objects and things drop off the top of this unit behind Leslie Nielsen's back and hit Dr. Meinheimer on the head. Bowling pins, bowling balls, an anvil, horseshoes, pool balls, and the triangle for bracking it. And a jar of oil comes down as well, followed by some of those packing puffs. So when he's completely oblivious. So when he turned around, he's like, George Kennedy comes in, look what they did to Dr. Meinheimer. And he sort of turns around and looks at him. He's sort of like covered in oil and bits and whatever. And you sort of see him picking stuff up from the floor, like going, where's that come from, sort of thing, you know. Yeah, anyway. Don't want to spoil it. Yeah, I'll probably ruin the gag for you. But anyway, go back and watch it. And then Naked Gun 33 1/3, which came along a number of years later, potentially... may have been delayed because of O.J. Simpson and his court case, which, yes, we all know what happened with that one. Definitely the weakest of the three, although, again, I've come to appreciate the end sequence at the Oscar ceremony a little bit better now than I did at the time, because I didn't like it at all. I thought it was just terrible. But no, it's really good, and that's a good bit about it. And yes, there's a couple of zinging one-liners in there as well, which always make me chuckle. Right at the beginning when Leslie Nielsen wakes up in bed, he goes, oh, I'm soaking wet, and she goes, I'll go and get Priscilla Presley sitting there, says, I'll go and get the talcum powder. He said, no, not that. Yeah, just things like that which make me chuckle. So yeah, they make me laugh in equal degrees. Again, certain things have come into circulation in language around here, and phrases I use every day, you know, like, yeah. It's difficult to get away from it, but they're great films. Put them all together, you can't go wrong, really. They do go down in quality. We are expecting, I believe, another one, one of these redo-overs, which I think Ed Helms was attached to for ages. But apparently Liam Neeson is going to be the son of Frank Drebin or something, or the nephew of Frank Drebin, or is he going to be Frank Drebin? I don't know. I mean, Liam Neeson has many capacities, but one of those is not to be funny. But then again, I suppose really you don't need to be funny. Well, I suppose you do. If you're playing something for straight when it should be funny, you need to be able to. I don't know. It is. You know, none of these films are being played for laughs. They're all being played for absolutely straight down the middle. So I'll be interested to see how he gets on with that. I don't know. I ain't quite sure about it. And then the final film I watched, which was last night, which is a film I've always wanted to watch for ages, but I've always avoided. Maybe because it's, I don't know, because it's like 3 hours long, and I didn't really want to sort of subject myself to that. But it's the film it's a mad world. Possibly there's an extra mad in there, or one too many. I don't know. This was made in 1963, produced and directed by Stanley Kramer, and at the time it was meant to feature pretty much every major comedy star who was available, who they could get. Some of them on screen for the entire film, some of them literally popping up for 10-second cameos, and I do say 10-second cameos. Jerry Lewis is in this for if he's in it for 10 seconds, I'll be very, very surprised. Jack Benny as well. The Three Stooges turn up in it as well. All they are is a panning shot, and they're just stood there and the camera sort of moves and focuses on them in 5 seconds and moves on to the next shot. But yes, and the basic premise is this, again, another old vaudevillian comedian, Jimmy Durante. He crashes his car. People stop to see if he's okay. These are Sid Caesar, Milton Berle, Mickey Rooney, Buddy Hackett, and Jonathan Winters. Probably names that most of you never heard of. Probably Mickey Rooney, maybe, but maybe never heard of before. He tells them where apparently there's $350,000. Remember, this is 1963, so that's we're talking a lot of money here. Buried under a big W in South Rosita. I think it's South Rosita, I can't remember now. And the rest of the film is them debating and trying to get there first to sort of dig this up and take the money for themselves rather than share it out. Along the way, Terry Thomas, the British comedian, known for the little pencil moustache, the gap in his teeth, and saying ding dong. I'm not going to do an impression of him. Not to be confused with David Tomlinson, who was in Mary Poppins and looks incredibly like him. And Phil Silvers, who used to play Sergeant Bilko on television. There's a wonderful bit where he's hearing about what's going on, and immediately the Bilko character comes out. You talk about being typecast for the rest of your career. Every time I watch Phil Silvers, it's like literally he's Sergeant Bilko. And that's like literally every other major star you could think of at the time who was available to turn up and do little bits. Spencer Tracy, renowned actor from the 30s and 40s, whose one capacity wasn't to be funny. He sort of cast as the detective who's trying to track this case down for years. You've also got Ethel Merman, who was mentioned Airplane earlier. Ethel Merman was responsible for one of my favourite gags in that film as well. She basically shouts her way through as a mother-in-law battle axe. It's a really uneven film. The one thing it certainly isn't is funny. There are a couple of funny bits in it, but as something which builds a comedy, it's not a lot. What was really good was halfway through the film, a thing comes up saying intermission, and a little song plays. So if you're going to watch this film, it's going to be 3 hours at the cinema back in 1963. And I know some films do that now. They used to do it in the old days. When I used to go to the cinema, you'd sit down, the adverts would start or something, you get the trailers for the next film's coming out, then you get an intermission, then they put the main feature on. And this film has got like an intermission section in the middle of it, which I thought that's quite nice. Although the copy I'm watching sort of doesn't give you an intermission of 20 minutes or whatever it is, you can stop, go and do something else. But yeah, I mean, I've not watched it now. Yeah, it's not going to go back into rotation or something I'm going to track down in the future, unfortunately. But that's the problem with, at the time in the 60s, they were desperately trying to get anything they could do to get people to stop sitting at home and watching television and keep the cinema going. And it just seemed to be the films seemed to be getting longer and longer. Expanding the cinematic view, making the screens bigger, making these big ensemble pictures. I mean, there's The Great Race was another one as well, which was about an all-star car race, and then there was the Gumball Rally as well, which is also a film based around a race. There's a game on the PlayStation 2, see, game related, called Gumball 3000, I think it is. And that's where that comes from, and they made a film about it. So they still see it get bigger and bigger and bigger and more expansive, and the audience seems to get lesser and lesser and lesser. In some cases less in more, and they probably should have gone with this then. It's, by its standards, it's very well shot, looks very nice, but as an overall spectacle, it just falls flat. And to be honest, towards the end, I was getting a bit tired. I kept falling asleep. I don't think I missed much. I might miss the odd cameo here and there. There's people who were listening to the film that I can't remember seeing in it at all, but I'm sure they were. I'm sure they were at some point. So there you go. So that's what I've watched since the start of January. So check those out if you wish to do so. And it'd be nice to know what you thought. If you've seen any of those films, if you'd like to see them, and do let me know. That would be great in the comments below. And like I said, I'll try and drop a few of these in throughout the year, so I'll just need to make a list now of ones I'd like to watch. Mrs. Bear just literally come before I recorded this, and she's been watching the film. I've been up here, and I said, "Oh, I'd like to watch that." So she said, "Well, I'll I will watch that again. So I'll start that, and hopefully maybe around the time of Easter we might do another one of these. Depends how many get through. If I get through a lot, I might do the need to do more. Anyway, hope you've enjoyed that. Something a bit different again, as always. Yeah, let me know what you think. Until then, until the next time, I will see you soon. Take care. Bye for now.